Our question number 13 is by Jerome on YouTube. And Jerome wants to know, what kind of dangerous situations did you experience during the journey? Ooh, danger. I hope this video is going to be more fun than the last ones. Anyway, here's to Jerome, I guess, to you guys. Let's see. Dangerous situations. That was for my birthday. If you know, you know. Dangerous situations on the journey. I'm going to give you 3 answers. The first one being the exciting one. The second one being the boring one, which is more truthful. And the third one being a story, which I hope is going to be a little bit entertaining. So, the exciting answer is that there were a few dangerous moments during the journey. Yeah, I hadn't expected them. Most of them were kind of my own fault. For example, I pissed off the Chinese government by publicly talking shit about them on the internet. Got banned from the Chinese internet, like a full-blown official ban. And then I went to China, to the northwest, to Xinjiang, which is where they have their concentration camps. And I was like, well, gotta pick up the caboose, gotta continue walking. But I was scared shitless, like, honestly. That was a little bit playing with fire. But what can you do? I had traffic accidents. One time the caboose got totally destroyed in a traffic accident in Tashkent, in Uzbekistan. I got bitten by dogs. I went viral in Iran for publicly on my own YouTube channel talking shit about the headscarf. Went super viral, got very, very scared because, you don't want to mess with the Iranian government either. Yeah, a bunch of stuff. This kind of thing. Animals. One time in Azerbaijan, during one day, I saw 16 snakes. That's the ones I saw. There were a bunch that I probably didn't see, but I counted 16. I don't know how to recognize poisonous snakes and non-poisonous snakes, but yeah. I don't know about wolves. Never saw any. Heard a bunch of jackals. Don't know about bears either. Didn't see any, but I was in bear-infested territory in Romania where people were like, why did you camp there? I was like, well, kids, I want to go home. Yeah, so a bunch of stuff happened on the way that was dangerous. And that's the exciting answer. The boring and more truthful answer is the most dangerous thing on the longest way, on the whole journey, by far, was just simply traffic. Just cars. Well, cars and trucks and motorcycles and buses, traffic. Like horrible. Horrible, especially if you're trying to get through a tunnel. And you know how they have these side lanes where you can walk on them in principle, but then try doing that, pulling the caboose, which sometimes doesn't fit on that sidewalk. And you got all this traffic coming through the tunnel. Up until today, when I'm going through a tunnel in a car, like let's say I'm riding shotgun, or I'm sitting on a bus, and the car or the bus goes through a tunnel, I get PTSD. I don't know if it's called that, but I look at that tunnel and I'm like, where could you walk? Where could you walk? Would that sidewalk be wide enough? Would it be good enough? Would it be safe enough? Because it was just horrible. Just horrible. Traffic is so dangerous. And I had this fear that the whole project, it's kind of stupid, but the whole project would just die. And maybe I would die because I would just get whacked by a truck, And it's like, hey, what happened to that guy who didn't get bit by the snakes and didn't get mauled by the bear and didn't get caught by the Iranian government? Well, truck. Maybe even just the mirror on the side of a car smashes into you. And anyway, I was scared about that. So that's the boring answer. Traffic, horribly dangerous. Horribly dangerous. Honestly, not kidding. I have evaded tunnels by pulling the caboose with all her weight across some hill or mountain. And it was really difficult, but I just didn't want to be in that tunnel because it was so bad. So that's the second answer. So the third part. the story part. I think the first thing that I want to do is I want to tell you guys the title of the blog post that I wrote on that day as it happened. On August the 7th, 2016, I called it The Gun Scare. Ooh, the gun scare. And I think another thing that I need to do is I need to give you guys a little bit of a background because I want you to be able to understand how little I understood as it was happening. So, it's the summer of 2016, and I had just returned to the longest way after a hiatus, after a break of a few years, where I had parked the caboose in the factory of an acquaintance in the northwest of China, on the border of China and Kazakhstan, actually. And I had gone home to do other things, get my university degree, publish a book, do a speech tour, these things. And then in the summer of 2016, I decided, no, I need to go back to the caboose. I need to continue walking. I need to walk all the way here to Bad Nindorf in Germany, to my childhood home. I need to finish the longest way. So I went there. Remember how I told you I was so scared of the Chinese government because I'd made them very angry? That was the time. So I went back there, feeling very scared, found the caboose, got her fixed up, got myself a haircut. Actually, I shaved it. Got a shave. Put on a new set of outdoor clothes. And I remember looking very squeaky clean, very motivated, a little bit more chubby than now, and completely white, or rather pink, very pink. And so I took the caboose and I crossed the border from China into Kazakhstan. And as I was crossing the border, that fear that I had of the Chinese government pulling some shit, it just fell off of me because then China was behind me. And I've actually kind of felt sad because I realized that I'm not going to go back there. As long as shit stays like that, this is going to be the last time. And so I crossed the border, and then I got to the Kazakh side, and a new fear washed over me, the fear of the unknown. Because as scary as the Chinese government is, at least I know Chinese pretty well. I'd spent a bunch of time there. I had already walked 5,000 plus kilometers through China. So I kind of felt like China isn't so bad. At least I understand it. But what do I know about Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan? What do I know about Central Asia? Not much. I don't know any of the languages. I know Russian, which many people there speak, but my Russian isn't anywhere near as good as my Chinese. I can say stuff like, Где гостиница? Where's a hotel? Хочу спать. I want to sleep. Or Я не шпион. I'm not a spy. I can say stuff like that, but I cannot carry a reasonable, real conversation. So with that limited amount of Russian, I enter this new country where I don't understand the rules. It's also an autocracy. Kazakhstan is not easy. Uzbekistan, even less easy. And I feel intimidated, I feel scared, and I feel worried. That was the feeling. But I walked for a few days through this new country, growing out my hair and my beard just a little bit. I got like a stubble. I'm still kind of pinkish. I'm still kind of motivated and kind of chubby. And as I'm walking through Kazakhstan for these few days, I feel like actually this is not so bad. Kazakhstan, Central Asia, it's actually quite nice. People are friendly. I get by with my limited Russian. The weather is good. Landscapes are nice. This is not bad. And this is how we get to August the 7th, 2016. I had arrived in a town that belonged to an Uyghur region. Some people in English call it Uyghur for some reason. It's Uyghur. They had their own little region there. The town was called Chunja or Shonje. I never understood which one it actually was because people would call it by different names. But I had gotten to that town, got a little room in a guest house, and just spent a few days relaxing in this new environment. I remember having food, Uyghur lakman, very tasty, having watermelons, walking around town and feel like, I'm in Kazakhstan, it's not so bad. August the 7th arrives. In the morning at about 7, I load up the caboose, I say goodbye to the guest house, and I start walking because at some point I need to get going. So I start walking west towards a canyon that I've seen on a map that I want to check out, towards Almaty, and ultimately towards here. As I'm leaving the town, there's a weird kind of dreamy atmosphere because there's really not many people on the street. I remember, and I don't know if my memory is maybe clouded, but I remember it only being old people. And every one of those old people being in their yards tending to their plants. That's my memory of the day. Like I'm walking through this kind of sleepy town in the morning, and there are some old people watering their flowers. And as they see me, the same conversation keeps happening. They say, Atkuda, where are you from? And I go, from Germany. And they're like, oh. And they're like, Kuda, where are you going? And I'm like, Almaty, that way. And they're like, oh, that's far. And then they say a thing, they say udachi, which means kind of like good luck in Russian. So they say good luck to me, and I'm like, thanks, bye. And then I keep walking. And that's kind of the morning how I'm leaving this town, Shunje, or Chunja, on August the 7th. I remember there being a little dog as I'm leaving that town. And that little dog was keeping very close to me in the caboose. And I even felt like maybe this dog is going to be my friend now. Maybe me and the dog were going to walk through the steppe through Kazakhstan. But no, the dog kind of hangs around for, 20 minutes or something. And then he leaves. And I'm alone again. And then I'm leaving the town behind me. And I'm entering the steppe. The steppe, I don't know if you know. I don't want to explain something that everybody knows, but the steppe is a kind of landscape that is special to Central Asia. It's not a desert. I guess you could say it's a semi-desert. It's very arid. It's very empty. There is some shrubbery, there's some grass, there's some vegetation, sometimes even a tree, but overall, it's very empty. There's usually one road, and the road doesn't have much traffic. You might see a car every 10 minutes or maybe every half hour. And there's just not much going on. Sometimes there's little villages somewhere scattered near water or something. But mostly you're going to be alone in a steppe. So for me, no problem. I have a bunch of water and some food on the caboose, and I'm feeling very motivated and very, very optimistic. And I'm leaving this town on August 7th, 2016 in the morning at like 7:30. And as I've left the town behind me and the dog, and I'm still kind of sad about the dog, there is this car that slows down next to me. And I turn my head and I see this old, really run down Audi. And in the Audi, there's 4 dudes. The 4 dudes, they look kind of like they're in their early 20s. The driver has the window down, looks at me and goes like, Atkuda, like that, Atkuda. And it's kind of like, I don't know if you're maybe a woman, or maybe you're just lucky enough to be a dude and not have to deal with this shit. But one thing that is really annoying about being a dude is when we do this thing, and I'm not innocent. I've done this thing too, where you see another guy, another man, and then you kind of go like, let's compare our testosterone, and you're not nice, you're not friendly, you just kind of go like, what's up? So like I look at the guys in their shitty Audi with the window rolled down, looking at me, not smiling, not being friendly, and just going like, where you from? Atkuda. And I'm thinking like, I'm not gonna engage on this level because, first of all, what for? And then second of all, there are 4 young dudes. I'm not gonna make them angry. So I'm super friendly. I'm basically like some sort of Borat, I go like, I'm a German tourist, Kazakhstan, super nice, it's very good, отлично. To which they don't smile. They go like, Akuda, where you going? And I'm like, I don't know, maybe over there, Almaty, something, I don't know. I don't want to really talk to them because they get this aggressive vibe, right? And then a few words go back and forth. Everything is like there's this tension in the air, and I'm kind of attributing it to this testosterone thing. Boy, am I wrong? No. At some point, the driver gives me this look, and he starts talking about my watch, chas. I understand the word watch. My Russian isn't that bad, but I don't want to talk about my watch with these weirdos. So I pretend I'm not understanding, and I go like, hey, Kazakhstan, so nice. Like I'm just traveling, tourist from Germany, so nice. And the guy's like, man, no, your watch, твой час. And he points at his own watch. And I'm like, man, how long can I pretend that I don't understand what he's talking about? Because I don't want to provoke him. I don't want to make him feel like I'm making fun of him. So at some point I'm like, it's a watch. And he's like, how about you give me that watch? Actually, he says like, give it to me. And I'm like, hey, I don't understand. Like, I'm still doing this thing because I'm thinking like, at least I'm not going to make it easy for them. Whatever happens, they're going to have to put in a little bit of work because I don't understand. At least this, right? So I go like, hey, I don't understand what you want. He's like, dude, a padarak, a gift. You give me the watch, padarak. And I'm like, oh, no, padarak. I don't want the padarak. I don't want the gift. And he's like, no, not you getting a gift, me. And I'm like, at this point, I should probably kind of come clean. And I'm like, I can't give you the watch. And he's like, why not? And I'm like, well, because I need the watch. And then I look at the car and something comes out of the window, the barrel of a gun. It's like, I don't know what kind of gun, but it was like long, maybe a shotgun or something. And I'm looking into this barrel. I'm still walking at this point. The car is just very slowly at my own speed driving next to me. And the guy's pointing his gun at me. And I'm looking into this barrel. I'm looking into their faces, looking into this barrel. And then this weird thing happened where, in hindsight, I went into some sort of shock because I couldn't comprehend this whole situation. I just stopped functioning. I looked at the barrel and I looked at the whole situation. I remember looking specifically at the diameter, at the size of the hole of the barrel of the gun and thinking, man, on TV, that always looks so small, but here it looks really big. That is hilarious. So I just started laughing. It was like, that's funny. To which the dudes, they gave me this look like, what the fuck? Like you're in this car, you're 4 dudes, you've been having this asinine conversation with this dude who just goes like, Kazakhstan, great. And then you want his watch and he doesn't give it to you, and you point this gun at him, to which he starts laughing. So he must be insane. And that's apparently what they thought, because I was still laughing when they kind of took the gun back into the window. And then the guy says in Russian, "Do svidaniya," see you, like see you later, see you again. And I remember hearing that and kind of computing and being like, I need to say something. Like I also need to, this like a polite conversation, I need to say something back, but I cannot think of anything that isn't "Do svidaniya," the thing that he just said, which means see you later. But I don't want to see them later. So I'm not going to say that. But then I think of the thing. What did the old people tell me in the town? They said "Udachi," good luck. So I'm like, "Udachi." Good luck. Yeah, that's what I yell at them while they slowly drive away. And I see that car, that shitty Audi with the 4 dudes in it, with a gun in it, and it just gets smaller and smaller because on that country road in the steppe where there's nothing, just me and that car, I can see that car for a long time, just getting smaller and smaller. And at some point, there's a turn and there's a little dust cloud behind them. And I'm looking at the car and I'm thinking, guys, first of all, the fear, it just kind of like splashes down on me like a waterfall, like the shock goes away. And then I'm standing on the road and I'm shaking. I'm like, what the fuck just happened? Like, was that a gun? Did I imagine that? Was that really a gun that they were pointing at me? And what the fuck was I doing? And I'm just shaking there and I'm thinking, there's no place to go. There's no place to hide. And I can see that car and I just wish for them to not talk about the situation and figure out the balance of power here. Because, I mean, even if they had no gun, there's still 4 dudes. And I'm just some weirdo with a hat and the caboose walking in the watch. So I'm thinking like, guys, don't turn around. Don't come back. Because I don't know what I'm going to say when you come back. But they don't come back. So yeah, that was I guess, dangerous situation. In hindsight, maybe not so dangerous. Because after that, I was so scared. For days, I was scared. Because, I don't know, the feeling before that had always been that when I'm walking with a caboose and a car stops, I'm immediately friendly and open towards whoever's in that car. And often they would come out of the car and they want to take a selfie with me, like a group photo, whatever, or they want to give me something. And I would be super approachable because I'm walking and I want to get to know people and I want to have fun. I want to have a good time, right? But after those 4 weirdos, I would be like, yeah, group photo, okay, but you guys stand over there. And I'm going to be a little bit like over here. Then we can take our group photo. And I remember taking that fear. And at some point, maybe 2 days later or something, being in a roadside restaurant and sitting opposite of a truck driver, Kazakh truck driver, huge dude, truck driver dude, like with tattoos and everything, and like a face that kind of goes like, So I'm sitting opposite of that truck driver, and he's like, so, how you like Kazakhstan? And I'm like, well, it's kind of nice, but also, like, these dudes that pointed a gun at me, and they wanted my watch, and he's like, what dudes? And I'm like, well, over there. He's like, how old were they? How did they talk to you? So I tell him the situation, he's like, those were just kids. As he explained to me, there are bandits, but bandits are not going to do this like, where you from, blah, blah. They're not going to waste their time with any of that. They don't even need a gun. It's going to be 4 dudes in a car, get out of their car, surround you, be like, your watch, your camera, your wallet, everything for us. If you don't listen, it's going to get bad, and then they leave. These kids, he said, were probably just youngsters, probably hunting. That's why they had the rifle. And then they came back from hunting, or they were going hunting, and they figured, hey, that dude, let's see, maybe we get lucky. Maybe we point the thing at him and we get something, but they weren't prepared for anything bad. So, in hindsight, maybe not so dangerous. Yeah, I just wanted to share this experience. Thanks for the question, Jerome. Thanks, everyone, for still keeping up with my little videos here. Peace. Udachi.